3.5 months ago, in August, I received a phone call from a Twin Cities man named John Ruggieri. John and his wife, Julie, were in the process of trying to adopt a baby from the Eastern European country of Romania. If all was to go as planned, the Ruggieris would become one of the first families in the United States to adopt a Romanian child and help other families in Minnesota do the same. We followed their story, and in September, we went to Romania to report on the more than 40,000 orphans living in Romanian institutions. Children few people knew existed until last year's revolution and the execution of the dictator Nicolae Ceausescu. What we found was horrifying, and at times so touching it was painful. But there we also found hope for the children who were once hopeless, foreign families coming to adopt the unwanted. For the next half hour, we will show you all of it in what we call the Iron Crib, the orphans of Romania. Romania is one of the most beautiful countries in Eastern Europe. Its fertile fields once produced the grain that fed a continent, but today it has trouble feeding itself. Decades of communist dictatorship have isolated Romania. Today it is a country of shortages, where people wait hours for a loaf of bread, days for a tank of gas. It is a country where hard labor is rewarded with low wages, where mothers and grandmothers work in coal mines, where state-run factories pollute the landscape. It is a country trying desperately to rise up from years of despotism and dictatorship. For centuries, the folklore of these Transylvania mountains have held that the man called Vlad the Impaler, the notorious Count Dracula, was Romania's most horrific monster. But after the December Revolution of last year, Romanians have come to learn their country gave birth to a monster even more vile than the legendary vampire. This one was Nicolae Ceausescu. On December 21st, 1989, the people he ruled turned against him, led by his own army. On Christmas Day, soldiers executed Ceausescu and his wife Ilana. Once dead, Romanians discovered the horrible legacies he left behind in no more saddening way than here. There are more than 40,000 orphans in Romania, crowded into unsanitary and primitive complexes. And Ceausescu is the father of the problem. The dictator wanted his population to increase by 7 million by the year 2000. He ordered women of childbearing age to produce no fewer than 5 children each under the threat of imprisonment, enforced by an organization feared even more than the KGB, Ceausescu's Securitate. Birth control was forbidden, sex education banned, abortion a crime against the state. Ileana Dura has 6 children. 4 of them live at home, another in the hospital. She had no money to raise the last, a girl she named Georgiana. The baby ended up here, in the country town of Rimenicu Vilja, in an orphanage. 340 infants are housed here. They seldom, if ever, leave their iron cribs. So emotionally deprived are these children, the nurses told us, the babies pace and rock in their cribs as their only form of stimulation.
We never knew anything about these institutions. We never knew the conditions. We were all shocked after the revolution when we realized what kind of life the children had. We never knew. They were all locked.
Nicolae Stefanescu is the chief judge in Râmnicu Vâlcea. He doesn't want to be seen in front of the old socialist map of Romania. Communism is part of the Romanian history he said he'd rather dispose of.
Because of conditions of life during socialism, especially the dictator, abortions were illegal, and this caused many tragedies. Many mothers died, many children were deformed because parents tried abortion. And there were very many unwanted children. Parents had many more children than they wanted.
Which created more children than the country could care for. Under Ceausescu, the solution of adoption was discouraged, if not banned. Parents were told Westerners would adopt the children, take them home, cut them up, and sell the baby's body parts for research. That is a lingering fear. But since a new law passed in August, children have slowly been leaving the orphanages for new homes. Ileana Dura's daughter, Georgiana, is one of the first. There is a home waiting for her in Eagan, Minnesota, and a mother, Julie Ruggieri, is preparing their home for a family.
I can't believe she's going to be here.
Her husband, John, has returned to Romania to complete the adoption. Now father and daughter are coming home.
This plane is taking forever. This last month and a half since we've been over there the first time has been absolutely horrible. It's just horrible waiting and always worrying, making sure that, you know, again, things are going to go okay.
Georgiana's adoption has become news back in the village where she was born.
She's Georgiana's mother.
The interpreter has brought snapshots of Georgiana at home in Minnesota with her new parents.
Some people in the village said, "Oh, so you gave the girl to the Americans. They will kill her." And I was crying, saying it's impossible.
Well, she said that she never was suspicious about Americans, and she was happy, and she's happy now because the girl is in a good family and not in the orphanage anymore, you know.
The tragedy of the orphans is not the children's alone. Many of these babies are given up not for lack of love, but simply because the parents have no means to support another child, a child ordered not by love, but by a dictator's policy. In fact, for some of the parents in Romania, giving a child away is the highest expression of love. In the heart of Bucharest, Romania, sits the largest building by volume in the world. It's called the Palace of the People, but it was never what its name implies. The palace was built by Nicolae Ceausescu for the glorification of Nicolae Ceausescu. At the time of his execution, Ceausescu and his wife Elena had spent more than $3.5 billion on the 1,500-room building, and they weren't finished. This room is the Hall of Romania. It is as large as a football field. Ceausescu wanted this palace as his greatest monument. Instead, it stands today as a symbol of how one man squandered the riches of a country on himself, while millions of his people suffered. "180 miles away lies the town of Cernavodă. No palaces here, no luxury. But like every other town or village in this country, there is an orphanage, an overcrowded orphanage. 160 children live here, infants to 3 years old. They've spent most of their lives in these rooms. Before the December Revolution, few Romanians knew places like this existed. Those who knew never imagined the desperate conditions. In 1986, the chief doctor here said that she discovered what she believed to be AIDS. She tried to report it to the government officials who told her that it was a medical secret. They said if she told anyone outside this orphanage, she could face from 6 months to a year in jail.
Shall we go inside?
Of these, you have about 70 babies serum-positive AIDS.
Yes.
Dr. Sylvia Radu was finally able to test the children in January. Nearly half were infected.
We were not able to check the parents, but most of the children have been several times in the hospital and most have suffered blood transfusions. And this seems to be the main cause of the infection.
Can you hear? Mariana has AIDS. Many children here got it from government-ordered blood transfusions, despite doctors' fears of an AIDS-tainted blood supply.
2 years and 8 months old.
2 years and 8 months old. And this baby can't weigh more than 19, 20 pounds. A half-century ago, doctors thought blood transfusions could prolong the life of weak infants, a practice today considered primitive. But Nicolae Ceausescu ordered the transfusions to keep children alive past their first birthday, a benchmark that would improve Romania's infant mortality rate and make conditions in his country appear healthier. After the children's first birthday, the doctors told us the child's survival no longer mattered to the government. How are you? Today, the nurses don't have enough medicine for the children. No antibiotics, not even aspirin.
Most of them, they told me that they are desperate when they see the children dying without any hope.
And nothing they can do.
No.
This one was almost lucky. She has AIDS, and a family had agreed to adopt her, and the last hurdle she had to pass was the AIDS test, and that's when they discovered she had AIDS. The children who do not have AIDS are kept in separate rooms, but the conditions are the same, perhaps worse. These are abandoned. Okay, these are abandoned.
Yes, but it's very difficult to get the names of both parents.
Yes.
In most of the cases, they know the name of the mother.
There is no mother's touch. With so many to care for, the nurse's attention is hardly affection. This child here is a lucky one because a Romanian doctor has agreed to adopt this one. This one over here, we are told, is the staff favorite, 7-month-old boy, Leon Alexandra. You can see why. The children now have clothes, an improvement since the revolution. For the babies, there is formula most of the time. The blood supply is now screened for the AIDS virus. But relief supplies are slow in arriving, and when they do, much of it is siphoned off into the black market, never to reach the babies. The babies who suffer the curse of Nicolae Ceausescu, sentenced to spend their time alone in an iron crib. The most immediate hope for many of Romania's orphans is adoption. In August, the new Romanian government passed a law making it easier for foreigners to adopt these children. And now dozens of Minnesota families are in the process of trying to bring home a Romanian baby. It is a long and emotional process, and in most cases it involves a trip to Romania. Lauren and Denise Billhorn of Coon Rapids did it, and we were with them. 1 year ago, no one outside Romania knew that these orphans existed. Now they have attracted the attention of the world, and hundreds of families have come here to claim the unwanted and to give them a home.
We've come a long way, all for the hopes of adopting one of the children.
Just 3 weeks ago, Denise and Lauren Billhorn learned it was possible to adopt an orphaned Romanian child.
I've heard there's some reluctance to give them up.
A Romanian woman named Lucy will help them. She's found babies for 4 other Minnesota families. One of the hurdles Lucy and the prospective parents must clear is the mistrust of Westerners' motives. Here in Romania, another child is often an unwanted burden.
It's difficult for you to understand, I can imagine, but it's difficult for us to believe that somebody's coming from America to take a Romanian child. What for?
And give them everything.
Yes, and give them, yes, you know, your house, your everything. It's very difficult to believe.
The Billhorns hope to find a child in a town called Rimanicu Vilja. Tomorrow they begin the first day of their search for the child they'll raise.
Hope to see babies in Vilja. That's what I hope for. I hope the car runs well.
A lot of things have to work right.
There is no guarantee they will go home with a child, but in their luggage, there is one special suitcase.
It's so theoretical right now, but I mean, I've still got the bag locked that has the Pampers, the clothes, the little booties, all that. I just don't even look at it. It's just locked up in the room.
Are you still afraid to get your hopes up?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I still feel like there are a lot of things that have to be worked out
Yeah.
perfectly in order for this to happen. It doesn't feel like a sure thing at all.
And according to Lucy, the toughest thing is finding the parents.
We have here the newborn children from maternity hospital.
Romanian law says one birth parent must approve the adoption, even though the child is orphaned. It is up to the Billhorns and to Lucy to find those parents.
Yeah, it's just 3 months. This one's just a month. Look at her, she's trying to hold her head up and, yeah.
Inside the orphanage, there are more than 340 infants left here because their parents didn't want them or couldn't care for them. Lucy pores over medical records while the Billhorns decide which children will go on their list.
So on those 2, one is not they're not adoptable, either one? Okay.
Finding their parents would be too difficult. Still, they would like an infant, but the doctor here doesn't recommend it.
So he thinks that a child under 7 months, well, it's a risk for you. I mean, as a parent.
Well, it's a risk with any parenting. You never know with your own child.
Yes.
There is no medical equipment to test the infant's development or health.
My feeling is about the older ones, I know what he's trying to do, but it's a risk. She sees. I know she's not blind because we're coming in at her and she blinks. Yeah.
The doctor steers them away from some children. This boy he calls unsalvageable.
Yes, it's such a pretty girl. Such a pretty girl.
They are overwhelmed for the first of many times by having to choose one baby to take home.
You're afraid to just all of a sudden feel like you fall in love. And
I don't want to be in the position of choosing this much. We only brought papers for one child. Oh, any of these babies would be wonderful. There's not one I've seen yet that I wouldn't want to take home.
Ilana is one they would like to bring home.
I guess she just seems so much like a 2-month-old, like I would picture.
At the end of the row of cribs, there is another baby. Quietly, Denise pins her hopes for a child on this baby girl, Maria. They cannot take any child with them today.
I want to look at Maria again. Just for a little while, we'll come back. Yes, we'll come back. Oh. Okay.
But back in her hotel room, Denise allows herself to open the suitcase she's kept locked until now.
I've had this for about a year, sitting in my hope chest.
The next days are spent searching for parents willing to let the Billhorns adopt their child.
It's too emotionally overloading to get our hopes up. I can't go back to the orphanage now and pick up Maria and say, maybe, maybe, because until I know it's a possibility, I just can't do that.
4 days later, they return to Bucharest without a child, but with news.
It's good news.
Tell us, what is it?
Well, it's not all finished.
I understand.
But the mother signed this morning, about
First
2
one,
o'clock.
tell him
Which
child?
Maria. No, is that right?
Yeah.
Is that wonderful?
Which is the one I think deep down in my heart was the one I was most excited about, and I was hoping Denise would go along with it. Yeah. And Lucci had put her down first on the list, so she was the first one we pursued.
And I had her first on my list.
Still, they must face a Romanian judge, then clear Maria through the United States Embassy. It will take at least another week.
Won't go home without her.
After 2 weeks, the new family comes home.
Recognize this child.
All right!
Among the friends is a girl named Georgiana, a Romanian baby, once orphaned, who made the same trip 2 months before.
Hey kids, get used to each other. You guys are going to be friends.
Happy birthday, dear Maria. Happy birthday to you.
Oh, thanks.
Adoption, as one Romanian judge told us, will help only those relative few who get through the process. The rest, he says, will remain behind in the orphanages. The conditions have improved, but most of the orphanages still lack basic necessities. In just a moment, we'll show you how you can help. The suffering of the orphaned children is only one of Romania's serious problems. The country is emerging, and slowly, from a dark age that lasted 45 years, a period in which individuality, creativity, expression, spirit, and hope were enemies of the state. Most of Romania's people still don't believe they are free. Cynics in Romania say nothing has changed, their hopes harnessed by the lingering suspicion that the Securitate is watching their every move. People are still afraid to spread their wings. The unstable government and the continued rumblings of another revolution is hindering the resolve to change the country. It's important to note, Romanians themselves did not know these horrors existed in their country's orphanages. When Romanian TV showed the first pictures, the nation's rage at the old regime redoubled. Many Romanians expressed their shame over the orphans' conditions, and they are trying to change it. We knew that when we reported this story and showed these images, our communities would respond with their hearts. So WCCO TV has joined forces with an organization called Freedom Lift, which will transport supplies to the orphanages and the hospitals we visited. If you would like to be a part of this project or want information on other relief organizations working in Romania, we have put together a pamphlet which also contains information on adopting a Romanian child. Please send a self-addressed stamped envelope to the Iron Crib, WCCO TV, 90 South 11th Street, Minneapolis, Minnesota, 55403. Thank you for joining us. Good night.
Așa la